Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the webinar today. My name is Katie McCarthy, and I am the host of a podcast called Give Good, where I interview different entrepreneurs and thought leaders. So it's absolutely appropriate that I'm here today with Reed Davis, who fits both of those categories, entrepreneur and thought leader. And he is the founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And he is here today to tell us about an exciting new program that he's launching with FDN called the Self-Care Program. So Reed, I'm going to turn it over to you. I may have a couple of questions along the way, but why don't you get us started?
Well, thank you very much, Katie. It's a real pleasure to be here. I am going to try to pace myself and not get too excited, but I often find myself unable to do that because this is really neat stuff. For anyone who is looking to improve their health, we probably have a good solution for you. And so I'm going to jump right into it. First, with a little bit of history. I started FDN when I was working at a wellness center. I was the certified nutritional therapist working on the patients. I also was their health director and case manager. In other words, every person that came in got to talk to me and I got to talk to them. I wanted to help every person walking in the door. And over a period of time, I was able to run labs and help over 11,000 people. Now, partly that was because I also had a screening and lecturing business. So I was working in the clinic and I was out doing lectures and screenings and things like that. So I really got more experience than most people have, or most 5 people have. And what I was able to do over that time was observe who was getting better, actually improving health, and who was not. And this will not be any surprise to you or your listeners, that the people working closest to the underlying causes were the ones who actually built health, and therefore were able to stop just chasing the symptoms, get off their hamster wheel of symptom chasing, drug surgery and all these kind of things, and taking all kinds of supplements. We were able to develop a system that I ended up calling Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. It's really a different system than just try this and try that in terms of supplements or drugs or what have you. It's all based on this lab work, all this testing that I did on thousands of people. Now, all of the protocols, in other words, the things we suggest that you do, that's a protocol, we put into a Dress for Health Success program. And DRESS stands for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. So they're all very important. And the most important thing probably, Katie, is that this has all been put together in a step-by-step process that just about anybody can duplicate. You don't have to invent anything. I worked on thousands of people so that you don't have to, and it's all completely tailored to each individual person. Now, I've been working, by the way, with a medical director, Dr. William Bailey. He's an osteopathic physician, brilliant guy who I just love, has helped mentor me. I'm the nutritionist, he's the osteopath. And he says that FDN, that's our Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, it integrates perfectly with the healthy lifestyle. Personal trainers can use it, health coaches can use it, chiropractors and acupuncturists and naturopaths can use it. Just about anyone doing a natural health discipline. So it works very well if you're just seeking health or if you wanted to do this as a practice. And what Dr. Bailey says is he wishes that every patient would just do an FDN program. It's perfect holistic grounding for anyone, really regardless of what their medical condition is. So it's a neat thing. And did you have a question?
I did. So I did a little bit of research on FDN. I cheated before we started. And you have a practitioner program, right? So is that what you're talking about right now?
No, I'm talking now, well, for either party, but we want to address people who are here seeking health improvement. You have a complaint, something about your appearance or something about the way you feel that's not working for you, that you want to change, that you want to improve. But for those who are practitioners, we do have a training program. So today, let's focus on the people who are tired of the runaround and just treating their symptoms, okay?
Perfect. I'm all ears.
So people who walk in the office, I learned, have 3 basic questions. Do you know what's wrong with me? Can you really help me? And have you helped others like me? And now that I've been doing this 15 years and developed this system, I can say yes to all three of those things. So do I know what's wrong with me? With you? Well, yes, it's identifying the underlying malfunctions and interferences. Those are the things that are wrong with you. We help identify the healing opportunities through our lab work. So, yeah, I can find out what's wrong with you if you're willing to do something. And that will help you because once we find out, we will restore normal functions in health. We'll use our potent, proven, tried and true professional protocols. And have I helped others like you? Absolutely. I have an excellent track record. I personally have helped thousands of people. And now that we're training others, that's expanding all over the world. So it's really a wonderful family of practitioners doing FDN now. I'm not the only one. And so these are the kind of things you want to ask yourself now. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get these taken care of? What we're talking about are chronic stress-related disorders. That's what people are showing up in the offices with today. Chronic stress-related disorders, allergies and acne and rosacea. All these things you could read for yourself here if you skim through. The indigestion, fatigue, and inflammation, asthma, pain, low sex drive is really prevalent today. Depression, of course, anxiety, all these things. And so people are really sort of sick and tired of being sick and tired and all these things, and they haven't found a solution. And what we do is give you some choices. And it's completely optional. Go ahead.
Reed, this may be naive of me, but I never thought of any of those as chronic stress-related disorders.
Yeah. Well, they are, and I'll show you how stress breaks your body down, and almost anything can occur. So it takes time, and it's built up, but just trust me for a minute here. They are chronic stress-related disorders when you understand how the body really works. Now, we give you some choices on how to deal with those things. You can opt into a self-care model based on education and learning how the body works and correcting the dysfunctions. And if you don't, you will be forced in later to a disease care model. Now people, talk about doctors and the health care system. We don't think it's really a health care system. We think it's a disease care model. And we don't want you to get forced in that later. We want you to choose the opt-in self-care model. By opt-in means you don't have to do it. You have to decide you're going to. And, typically people are coming to us, like I said, they're asking us, do you know what's wrong with me? Why? Because they've been to a typical physician, had a little blood work done, and it looks normal. Well, we do a different kind of test work. We know that if your blood work looks normal and you still have a lot of complaints, it's really not just something you're dreaming up. It's not all in your head. You don't just need a chill pill. And so we know, for instance, that headaches, they're not an aspirin deficiency. Fatigue is not a caffeine deficiency or stimulant deficiency. If you're having sleepless nights, that's not a sign that your family has an Ambien shortage. So, yeah, it seems funny, but it's kind of odd that people are being sort of told, well, you have a headache, here's your aspirin. Fatigue, try coffee. If that doesn't work, we've got some other stimulants. And these kind of solutions. What we say is that if you're not seeking the cause, you'll just be treating the symptoms. You'll be chasing them and chasing them and chasing them. And the truth is that symptoms are not the problem. They're just the result of the problem. And that is dysfunction. That's what we go after. Now it's important to note that this is not a medical model. FDN does not diagnose or treat disease. That's what they do in the medical world. They treat specific diseases or diagnosis, and it's usually just a matter of managing symptoms. What we do instead is we work in this non-specific, it's a health building, restoring function, cleaning up inflammation, toxicity, any interference we can find. And then we return the body to normal health, and symptoms really won't be there. They disappear. Now, medical treatment depends on drugs and, of course, surgery, very prevalent. And there's been amazing advances in drugs and surgery if that's the way you want to go. But our clients are the ones who are willing to do the lifestyle modifications, removing the interferences, do the detective work, and then only want to use natural therapies, like in our Dress for Health Success self-care system. It's really a matter of behavior. in many, many, many cases. So that's what we get to look for. So the other thing I want people to understand today, Katie, is that it's fairly easy to adopt a FDN self-care program into your life to improve your health. We do our very best to make it easy. All you have to do is duplicate what is proven to work successfully for thousands and thousands of people. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to spend, hours and hours and hours on the internet and reading books and going from one source to another source and really getting frustrated. If you're in the vitamin store, you get one opinion. You talk to your neighbor, it's another opinion. You talk to a physician, it's another opinion. So again, after thousands and thousands of people and 15 years of work, we really have a system that's proven to work. So what I'm going to show you are the methods I developed over a 15-year period that have not only helped thousands of people to get well and stay well, all naturally, it's helped a lot of people build some very successful nutrition practices. And when I say get well and stay well, what do I mean by that? Well means healthy and happy. That's what well means. So let's see. The way to look at this is probably that you have needs that are not being met by your current system. If you're seeing a personal trainer, but you're still having health problems, then personal training isn't meeting all the needs. If you're seeing a nutritionist and you still have a lot of health problems, then you have needs. And certainly, there's nowhere to go, like to your doctor, because, he'll say, well, you don't need me. You don't have something I can write a prescription for, or I don't have a diagnosis and treatment plan for you. You're not sick enough yet. So we fill this huge needs gap. And really it's based on our detective work. We, again, will identify and help you correct the hidden causes and conditions that have led to your health complaints versus treating symptoms. And again, it's completely opt-in. The only reason people see a doctor is because they have to. I have to go to the doctor. I have to take my kid to the doctor, or whatever it is. No one sort of opts into that. But this is something you'll want to do. Get on a path with us and a whole lot of other people. So you asked me a question, Katie. It seems weird that those are chronic stress-related conditions. Well, we have to start breaking down what stress is. Is all stress bad?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, really, when you hear the word stress, you think of your job and different things. It's not all bad. There's actually distress and there is eustress. So there's actually good stress. There's the kind that makes a butterfly come out of its chrysalis or cocoon. It's like there's something pushing that butterfly to escape. Or for a chick to break out of its egg. Or for my son here to go skydiving. It's because there's good stress, to feel alive and to grow and have fun and enjoy life. That's a good kind of stress. But so that's eustress, and of course there's distress. That's the bad one. And it is the number one cause of health problems, Katie. According to this journal, Health and Natural Journal, in one of their editions, they said that 70 to 80% of all doctor visits are for stress-related illnesses. And I've read recently that it's up to 90%. And
no way.
Yeah. Well, when you start to understand stress and how it cascades through the body. And so up to half of all illnesses are actually caused by stress. Now, let's look a little bit deeper at stress.
Wow, wait, those numbers are shocking to me, and it seems weird to me that if those numbers are accurate, why my doctor has never talked to me about stress.
Well, some do and some don't. I'm not here to put down doctors. I am against drugs and surgery. It's not my way. And hopefully most of the people listening have a penchant for more natural and how can I really heal. And so, but if you went to the doctor and said you're stressed out, he would understand, but, his solution would be different than mine. There's stress pills, I guess, like it depends on. So what we're going to do is break down how stress really damages the body. And the first kind you think of, if I say, hey, ever heard of stress? You'd go, oh yeah, I'm stressed out because I don't like my job and I'm having trouble in my relationship and I don't have enough money right now because I had to spend it on this or that or my rent went up or whatever it might be. So people think just mental, emotional. They're scared of something coming up. They're worried about their kids' college tuitions or things like that. And there's even deeper forms of mental, emotional stress. I believe that people without purpose in life have this background stress going on. People who are sneaky, I say covertness, it's a nice way of putting it. People who are doing things that aren't right behind people's back. You know when you're doing bad things. And that's stressful. It's going to come back and you're going to be paying sooner or later for that kind of stuff. It's just so much better to not be that way. Negative perceptions, people who just, everything looks bad to them. And they are stressed. That's the more classic definition of stress. And certainly those things need to be identified and worked on. Now, another one that maybe is not so obvious is what we call physical stress, biomechanical stress. These are things that have built up in your body over time, usually trauma and microtrauma. Believe it or not, you could have had a car accident 15 years ago that's still putting a little pressure on your nervous system or doing some kind of interference. Muscle and weaknesses. You can get nerve compression. People who do the same job over and over and over again, like people sitting there typing, or people who load trucks, or operate heavy machinery. There's this repetitive and positional injury that damages your nervous system. That's a type of stress, or distress. And people actually over-exercise, most under-exercise, but these things can really build up over time. So we've covered mental, emotional stress, and now physical, biomechanical.
Would I necessarily know if I had these kinds of stresses?
Well,
Because I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm a pretty healthy person. I don't feel I don't feel bad often. Occasionally I get a headache, and occasionally my lower back hurts. I sit in a chair all day, so I just kind of thought that was normal.
Well, let's put it this way. It's common. And if you have one headache a year, that's not too bad. If you have a headache every day, that would not be normal. That'd be over. So we have ways of just asking people a few questions. We interview people about and try to get them to really realize what's normal versus what's common. And I'll go over, actually I have a diagram coming up that will really help explain that to you. So it's a great question. But before we get there, I just want to say there's another kind of stress, and it's the hidden stress. So you might have forgot about an accident you have, and sometimes you just kind of ignore the mental emotional stress. You've learned to just sort of deal with it. But this is one that's very insidious, that actually is where an FDN detective can come in and discover these things and help you sort them out, and of course we'd want to remove them. They're very well hidden. This is where we run our lab work and find out what's really damaged on the inside. And you have to understand kind of how the body works. So let me ask you a question. What's that big organ in your skull that allows you to think called?
My brain.
Okay. So, the brain. The brain is communicating with your body in various ways, mostly through blood and nerves and energy. So the brain communicates with the body and back and forth these different ways. For what purpose? Well, the purpose is function. Remember, we're called functional diagnostic nutrition. So function is, to us, everything. And we believe that we're inherently designed pretty well, that you don't have to teach any of your cells what their job is. And you asked me a minute ago, you thought headaches were normal. Well, they're not normal. If you're functioning normally, if your cells and the organs that they're in and the systems that they're in and all your tissues and things are functioning normally, you'd be in a state of ease. Well, it's called homeostasis or balance, in the medical world. But let's just call it you're in a state of ease, body's functioning, you're firing on all cylinders, all your metabolic processes. And that's true for the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, the adrenal glands, the ovaries, the testes if you have them. I mean, all your cells and systems functioning normally in a state of ease. I'll ask you, would you be healthy?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Did I get it right?
Yes. All right, good job. A plus. You'd be healthy. Now, is that how people come into our office?
Probably not.
No, rarely, rarely. I might have had in 15 years 3 people that say, I'm perfect, I just want to stay this way. Well, we can help that person too. But people come in with symptoms. And you might say, if you're looking at this carefully, but wait, you just said functioning normally in a state of ease, you'd be healthy. Why would you have any symptoms? Well, then we know that there has to be a dis-ease process. There's something upset the balance. You're no longer in homeostasis. You no longer are balanced. And there's a reason for that. We call it malfunction. That's a loss of normal function. Some cell, some system, organ, something, tissue, whatever, is not functioning normally. That's what we call a disease state, which is where the word disease comes from, I believe. And then symptoms appear. And the important thing, Katie, is that they're the last thing to occur. So when you have a symptom, it's like actually a chain of events that created it. And they're very common, but they are not normal in our world. No such thing as a normal headache to us, or a normal, hysterectomy, a normal gallbladder removal, They're just common. And so what are people coming in for with these symptoms? What are they coming in for? They're usually coming in for relief. I hope you can see that on the screen there. And the most common form of relief, people are always what? They're grabbing for things. They've already been probably self-medicating. Now they're coming to their practitioner saying, hey, I need something to take. Can you give me something? And they're seeking relief. And that's okay. Sometimes pills, whether they're prescription or whether they are just natural supplements and things, they can help remove symptoms. But have you fixed anything? Looking at this diagram here, Katie, have you fixed anything?
No, they're off to the side. You've not fixed anything.
Yeah, the symptoms are gone. At the bottom there, we crossed out, but we haven't repaired the disease and malfunction. And so what's going to happen, the symptoms are very likely going to come back. And you need stronger pills and stronger pills. And in some cases, the next step for physicians is just, surgery. We know people have gallbladder aches and pains, and they just take the gallbladder out eventually. Women are getting hysterectomies left and right, millions of them a year. Why? Because pills don't work on their pain or their suffering anymore. So we just cut the parts out, And I've never thought that was a cool thing, because I don't think I have any spare parts. I certainly don't want anything chopped out of me. And so, and I don't like taking medication because it has side effects and things, but what we now know from this is that symptoms are a signal something's wrong, and no symptom is normal. And they may go away or decrease with relief care, and that wouldn't be terrible, but they will come back with a vengeance or appear as new symptoms over time. So in FDN, we focus on underlying causes, and at the same time try to provide some intelligent relief care, maybe some natural things or something like that. So what we do instead is we start to go, well, how has this distress in these various forms, mental, emotional, or it could be the biomechanical, trauma, physical kind of things, or it could be the biochemical, physiological stuff. This is where we run our lab work and focus on the healing opportunities. Identify those, and then use natural therapies to restore normal function. And the body would return to a state of ease, and you see things falling away here. Obviously, symptoms disappear, health is restored, complaints are often permanently resolved. And Katie, I want to tell you, we've had people whose complaints were actually some diagnosis some doctor gave them, and we've permanently resolved that, but only when you know which steps to take. So that's the big secret, if you will. And that is a new way of looking at dis-ease. Symptoms are the last thing to occur. If you work at the functional level, they can go away permanently, instead of just getting on that hamster wheel. Again, if you know which steps to take. Now, before we get into which steps to take, there's one more sort of emphasis on our way of working. We know hidden stress, distress, if you will, and imbalances and dysfunctions in one area of the body, if not soon resolved, cascade into other areas. It causes serious dysfunction and then leads to disease and the symptoms. So the symptoms are the last thing to occur. Basically, these stressors, they are chronic in today's world, and they pour into the body like this. You see the waterfall there? Well, that's stress pouring down into the river. And downstream in the river, the stress cascades over the different functions in your body, the rocks and the twists and the turns, and it causes dysfunction, and then symptoms occur down the road. Our job, we feel, is to go back upstream, see what's dysfunctioning, and heal that and return balance to these different systems. So the reason we don't chase symptoms more than we absolutely have to, the least amount of whatever it takes for the shortest period of time, because symptoms are really far from the causal factors. Symptoms are at the end of the stream, causal factors are upstream. And so you could look at this picture and get a good idea what we're talking about. Symptoms are what you see on the surface. They're the thing that the way you feel or the appearance, they're the way you feel or the appearance that you want to change. But you can chip away at that all you want, Katie. You really need to get to the bottom of the iceberg where the stress-related dysfunction occurs. Now, all of the bullet points on the right there, from adrenal-related dysfunction through poor nutrient breakdown and dysbiosis and gut malfunction, hormone dynamics, inflammation, bacteria, antigenic, these ideas of biofilms, biotoxin things, all of those can be uncovered quite easily with some laboratory work. Saliva, urine, most of it can be done at home, and it's not hard or expensive to do in most cases.
That's really great, because when I look at that list, I would not have any idea if I had any of those problems.
That's right. All you see are the symptoms on the top. You say, well, I've got some spots on my face, or some hives on my rash on my chest, or I've got headaches, or I'm tired or fatigued, I got sinuses, I got allergies, I'm moody and irritable, I've got diarrhea, constipation, I got joint pain, I can't get out of bed in the morning, depression. That's just the symptoms. Okay? Now you can go get medication. Remember, we offer people choices, and our choice, our suggestion is that you would get to these are the functions upstream that are dysfunctioning and then resulting in those symptoms appearing downstream. That's simply how it works. That's just the facts. So we don't chase symptoms because they're very far removed from the causal factors. These are the causal factors. And we talked about stress, and you asked me about stress, and I just went over the three major categories of stress: the mental, emotional, the physical, and then, of course, the biochemical. And one thing very common to all of them is they produce symptoms and they damage your hormone balance. I mean, that's one of the first places we can look. With the saliva test, it's actually really inexpensive and easy to do at home. So one of the first ways we can sort of look upstream is by looking at the hormones and see these imbalances there that will result in symptoms. Now, if you give me another minute here and pay attention, I can explain it to you as because there are some big words on the screen. Basically, you have this idea of pregnenolone, which is the top blue box there, pregnenolone. I have this elderly Italian client, and she calls it pregnenolone. So we call it pregnenolone here, and it metabolizes in your body to DHEA. That's the dehydroepiandrosterone. Now you know why we just call it DHEA. And so everyone's heard of DHEA. They know it's kind of an anabolic steroid. You can take it. Sometimes you even feel better for a little while. It is the mother of testosterone and estrogen, your sex hormones. So you have these sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen, and very often people have symptoms of low or high testosterone and estrogen, right? So the symptoms are the downstream thing. As we go back upstream, we see that they're just the offspring of DHEA, the mother, and DHEA is just the offspring of pregnenolone, the grandfather, if you will. Now, if that's all that pregnenolone had to do, and by the way, it's just made out of good fat and some B vitamins and enzymes. Your body can make this in different organs. So if that's all your pregnenolone had to do was feed the tree, the branch of the tree here, DHEA and your sex hormones, life would probably be okay. The problem is though, pregnenolone, remember it's the grandfather of some other branches of the tree, a couple other branches. The main one being what we call the progesterone to cortisol pathway. Now check this out. We talk about stress, we talk now about how stress affects the hormones. What is the stress hormone? If I asked you, would you be able to answer that? What's the stress hormone?
Oh, I've seen that commercial. Cortisol.
All right. So cortisol is the stress hormone. So if you're under stress, and it doesn't matter, this is the key, it doesn't matter what kind of stress. You might not even know the stress is there. It could be in your food, it could be in the air you're breathing, it could be rubbing off the furniture you're sitting in or your clothing even. It could be coming off the TV. It could be coming out of the, all kinds of places. So it's not just the trauma and the mental emotional stress, your spouse is yelling at you or something. Not that ever happened to me. But, so we've got all these stressors, and your cortisol is going to get elevated. Now, how in the heck is your body going to make all that cortisol? I mean, it can really shoot up there. And by the way, its job is kind of to raise blood sugar. It'll break your tissues down to produce blood sugar, and it also is an anti-inflammatory and a painkiller. It's not a bad thing, but and if you got sort of punched in the face, you'd be glad to have some cortisol get elevated. The stress response, the fight-flight stress response. But, today's type of chronic stressors that we've been going over, it's like you're getting punched in the face all the time. You just don't know it. And your cortisol is real high. What happens, I'm just going to skip ahead here. What happens with these bright red arrows that are here is you start stealing pregnenolone over to the left into progesterone cortisol pathway. So you're kind of ripping off the grandfather hormone, pregnenolone, to make this cortisol. Now, if you can look at the diagram there, everybody, and just stay with me for a sec. I'm almost done with this sort of technical stuff. If you're stealing pregnenolone to make cortisol, what might happen to that DHEA down there?
There's less of it.
There's going to be less of it. There's less pregnenolone to go into that pathway. You're going to have less DHEA. And what might that do to its offspring, to your sex hormones?
Well, there'd be less of that.
There'd be less of them. So you could have low testosterone, low estrogen. Low testosterone means energy and sex drive and muscle tone and all kinds of things, mental clarity and stuff. You need testosterone, men and women. Now, men obviously are more dominant in that, so that's probably a good thing. But women with low estrogen have thinning skin, vaginal dryness, they have depression, they have lots of symptoms too. So this is why I'm trying to explain to you that symptoms, we just meant, are far away from the actual cause. So, but typically, you can just go get some testosterone gel, you can go get some estrogen pills or patches, and it doesn't fix a darn thing. Matter of fact, your body will start shutting down production of those things. So you actually get worse physiologically. You could also take some DHEA, but we don't quite recommend that. The important thing here for you guys, and I know I've been on a teaching kick here, but that's what I do, is that we are able to look with a simple saliva test at your cortisol to DHEA ratio and see how out of balance that is. And it's easy to do. We'd also, of course, look at your progesterone to estradiol. That's really important. And your testosterone to estradiol, your male to female sex. And you'd be really amazed at how sort of destroyed that stuff looks. Why? All because of the chronic stress response, the stealing of pregnenolone to make cortisol, and these imbalances. Now, on the next page, in the hub, in the middle there, you see cortisol to DHEA ratio. Balance is what's required. What we have is imbalance. And these are products of the adrenal glands. So when you see messed up cortisol and DHA levels, they typically call that adrenal dysfunction. And I'm not sure I'm going to agree with that exactly, but there is something dysfunctional going on. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of hormones going the wrong way. And so then that's where all these other possible symptoms come in. On the lower right, because it disrupts other endocrine function, you have ovarian hormone problems, PMS, you have irregular menstrual cycles, you have women go through early menopause. Thyroid function, you have women who are tired and fatigued and they feel cold and their hair gets thin and they gain weight and those kind of things. Pancreas and insulin, of course, blood sugar levels spiking, and leads to diabetes and things. So I'm not going to go on every circle. You can look around and see the top right, for instance, quality of sleep and mood and memory and learning problems. Raise your hand if you have one of those problems, So what we're saying is that we have a way of going upstream, doing a little testing, and seeing what's really wrong, and then we're able to target these areas of dysfunction with natural therapies, of course. So I want to that's like a lot of education. I know I probably put some people on overload, and I apologize. But there is a lot to learn about the body. And, of course, if you're one of those practitioners, you're probably eating this up with a sponge. If you're a health seeker and just want to feel better, you don't have to know all this stuff. I just wanted to give you some background on how we work. We actually run labs. We actually look at metabolic pathways of hormones and all these other functions. What our certified health coaches, and I've trained 1,500 people, about 600 are graduating practicing health coaches. They all are taught to follow this step-by-step course of investigation. It begins with that hormone test. We seek the hidden stressors and malfunctions to assess underlying causes. The lab tests identify the healing opportunities, where you need to fix things, how you need to fix it, and getting deeper and deeper and closer to the root causes. We can have an effect on those root causes that results in feeling better, better appearance, if that's what's important to you, and really it's because you're healthier. So this is something we would ask you to join us, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to get on a holistic path, whole body approach, using our potent, proven professional protocols, tried and true things to improve your health, and to get off that hamster wheel of chasing symptoms. And
Reed.
Yes, please.
You just kind of blew my mind with all of that, all of the education behind it, which was awesome. I mean, it really makes sense. I'm not sure I caught all of it, but from what I did, it seems to make sense to me. So if I resonated with some of the things that you said, when I did the FDN self-care program, how would that work?
Well, if you did the FDN self-care program, you would run these labs. I mean, you actually did at a great time. See the picture of a couple labs there? It's a couple little boxes with some saliva tubes in them. And for one, it's a simple urine test. You basically pee in a cup and pour it in 2 tubes and mail it off to the lab. The other one has 4 tubes there, and you would just kind of drool, spit into one in the morning, one at lunch, one at dinner, and one at bedtime. And so then you mail them off to the lab the next day. These little boxes come with FedEx shippers already in them, and you just fill out the little form and you send it off. It's really easy to do. We have people who are old and can't read, and don't speak English, and they can get saliva and pee in some little tubes, So, and you can also collect it for your, children if you need to. It's really kind of simple. And so what we do is we run the labs, and when we get the test results back, we will interpret the results functionally. Remember, we're not trying to identify a disease to go, here's your drug, and if it doesn't work, we'll just cut the parts out. What we're trying to do is see where you need healing. So we identify healing opportunities, and they're within these sort of pillars of health: your hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, environmental, neurotransmitter areas. And that's where I come up with this acronym, because it makes it easy for me to remember: the hidden stressors and dysfunctions. And they are at the root of most common health complaints. All the things we went through before, those chronic stress-related conditions, can you see a little bit better now how they are chronic stress-related?
Yes, definitely. And I think that it's so fascinating because I would have thought that everything was pretty much normal with
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Well, I haven't interviewed you to see what your main complaints are, and how often they bother you, or how long they've been going on, or what you've tried so far, and those are the kind of things we discuss with our um, prospective clients. I mean, we don't just offer this to anybody. We want to interview everyone first for no charge to see if we can help them. And if we decide we can, then we would order up these labs. Again, it's pretty easy to do. And then once we get the labs back, we'd have something to talk about. Now, I'm just going to sort of blow through this, okay, because this is, again, where it's technical. One of the labs that we would have you do is that adrenal stress profile. It's all the sex hormones. The diagram we looked at with the pregnenolone steal, and then the low testosterone, estrogen, and low, based on chronic stress and the stealing of pregnenolone to make cortisol. That's what this test reveals. All the ins and outs and secrets revealed there. And it's really a neat thing to see just sort of how much adaptive reserve you have left in your body. And it guides your therapy, and it points to the next level of investigation. It's a very cool thing. And in my course, by the way, I go over this in great detail, how all the actual parts work. And the other test, the urine test I talked about, there you see the liver and the stomach and some other organs. We look at the function of those right there. Are you breaking down and absorbing food? Because that's critical. Do you have a lot of toxicity? Is your liver able to handle that toxicity? Is it actually cleaning your body out properly? The liver is kind of like, you could look at it as a vacuum cleaner bag that needs changing sometimes. We've all used a vacuum, and you can just kind of tell, man, the bag's full. I can tell it's not working. And you put a new bag in, and it's like having a brand new vacuum cleaner. It's working good now. Well, the liver's your filter of all these toxins and particles that we don't want in there. And that's just what happens. So we can check that out. I don't know why physicians don't run this test. It's in urine. It's inexpensive. It tells you a lot about healing opportunities. I think the reason is probably because they don't. It's really no diagnosis and pill for it. It's stuff that you have to sort of do. And the other test, another really neat one, which by the way is also saliva. So that means it's convenient and easy to do at home. We can actually look at the lining of your guts. The small intestine. It's so critical. And for instance, we've all seen a dog drink dirty water and not get sick. Why? Because he has a really good, strong intestinal barrier. And humans are the same. Most of the germs that we ingest is through the mouth, going down the pipes and going out throughout your body. Now what you need is a really good barrier so it doesn't get inside your body. Your intestinal barrier is about 80% of your immune system. So just imagine the damage that can get done there by these things and by your own stress. Stress and cortisol, see that high cortisol? It damages the lining of your small intestine. We want to see how bad it is and how much healing needs to be done there. And, oh, by the way, why else is this barrier really important? It's so intricate that it not only has to keep all that bad stuff out, it has to let good stuff in. That's where food gets absorbed into your body. All your amino acids, your proteins, your fats, and that would be, all the oil. You've heard of good fat and bad fat. Well, the good ones are supposed to come through. And then sugars. We need carbohydrates. We need these nutrients and phytonutrients, vitamins and minerals. And that has to get broken down and absorbed into the body properly. And this is the gateway. So we get to analyze that. It's very exciting when you're looking at this. And when you're showing people these test results, when I'm doing that for my clients, Katie, and I'm showing them in black and white the dysfunction that can be healed, that is way downstream actually resulting in symptoms, well, they're just thankful. And that's why we do this, because it's so rewarding. Now another test, once again, can be collected at home. It's stool. And it's not hard to collect. It's not as bad as you might think if you've never done one before. They're pretty easy. And you collect, and it goes into the lab, and then we get to identify some more serious things that might be going on, which is very common when you've been under chronic stress for a long time. Remember, it's all the stressors, not just the mental and emotional, but all of the nerve damage from microtrauma and bad posture and weakness. And it's all of the chemical, biochemical, and functional stressors that are created in your body and from the environment we live in. And it breaks your body down, and pretty soon you're not resistant to bad things. These, we call them germs generally, but really we break it down into bacteria, fungus, and parasites. And you would just not believe, and people get really grossed out. Oh my God, I can't believe I've got these parasites and these funguses and they form film, this biofilm inside your colon and your small intestine that needs to be dealt with. Remember, the typical physician is going to treat the symptom. You know, if these things are causing diarrhea, you're going to get anti-diarrhea medicine. If they're causing joint pain, you're going to get joint pain medicine, anti-inflammatories. If it's your skin, you're going to get something for your skin. If it's migraines, you're going to get something for the migraine. So remember what I said, all these dysfunctions and things in the body will create symptoms way downstream. And they are, it takes someone with some investigative skills to run these labs and interpret them and give you the things to do to fix it pretty much forever. Get into a self-care program. One last test, and then we're going to move on, is the inflammatory foods. There is a way to identify foods, and basically I look at this as inflammatory load on the body. It's just one more way, it's just one more kind of stress. So that's easy to do. That one does require a blood draw, but it's not hard to get. And we coach people up exactly, where to go, what to do, how to do it, and that kind of thing. So we're going to sort of wrap it up and give some people some options here, Katie. And, I want to address something that we do get, and that is people saying, well, I've already run some labs. Well, if you've been to other health practitioners and have run labs, and they just diagnosed and treated you like, oh yeah, here, what's typically going on is they're not treating you, they're treating the test results. So, number one, they're probably not ordering the same labs. I'm sure they're not. And when they do get the results, they treat the test result. In other words, how many times, if you've been really suffering, if you're one of those people who's been chasing it, you probably looked at a lab test with a doctor, and they've said, look, this is low, some hormone, some marker. It's low, so here's something to take to raise it. What's that doing? That's treating the test results. This marker's low, let's raise it. This marker's high, let's lower it. Like cholesterol lowering. And there are inflammatory markers that could be lowered. And that's treating the test results. Now it's not giving the person something to do to heal the damage done. And so they're completely different systems. So you have your choice of which way you want to go. The question asks that person, what system do they use? And when people come to me with a complaint, let's say it's joint pain, muscle aches and pains, again, the digestive kind of things, mental, emotional problems, energy issues, sleep issues, they say, well, what can I take? And I'll say, take home this test kit series because I have no clue why you have that symptom. And, most practitioners aren't even looking for the why. They're just trying to get rid of the symptom. So when they say, well, hey, I'm willing to run a test, which one should I run for this symptom? I'm saying, I have no idea why those symptoms are occurring. Which lab wouldn't you run? And that's why we ask people to run a series. It's like, let us get our arms around the hidden stressors. Remember, it's hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, elimination, and neurotransmitter. So there's some labs that we need to run to really get our arms around you. And once we do make our assessments, we will recommend a drugless protocol and behavior requirement system for you. And we'll hold your hand and walk you through it. We'll tell you where to start. What's the first thing? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? Things like that. Now, it really is just, you're doing all this stuff anyway. You have a diet. Whatever it is, you're eating something. We'll tune it up. You're getting rest or not getting rest. We'll tune it up. Exercise. We'll tune it up. Some people over-exercise. Some people under-exercise. Stress reduction is absolutely huge. Remember, with our labs, we're going to be able to break down mental, emotional, the physical. What are the true biochemical and functional stressors? And then, of course, we recommend supplements. And we are not connected with any one company. We don't do MLM. We don't own a penny's worth of stock in any supplement companies. It doesn't matter to me where people buy things or if they buy things, although it's 1/5 of the program. If you look at the hand there with the DRESS, again, I like my acronyms because it makes it easy for me to talk about and remember. If you just tattooed DRESS on your fingertips, you would have the secret to health success. You'd be able to always say, hey, something's going wrong. All these things need to work together. I'm sure people here listening, Katie, have tried a diet. Well, if diet was going to fix it, it'd be fixed. If just getting a good night's sleep would be fixed if you're getting a good night's sleep. If just exercise would fix it, then it'd be fixed. And it's not. It's because really people don't know how to break down those hidden stressors and know exactly what to do to fix it. So, yep.
So for me, somebody who's interested, when I join the FDN self-care program, you're going to run all those tests on me, right? I'm going to do those labs.
Yeah.
And then based on the outcome of the labs, you're going to personalize my dress protocols and behavior just for me.
Exactly. It's totally customized and individualized based on your lab results, your history, your complaints, everything that we can do to get a good intake. So we do have forms that people fill out, things that will sort of trigger their memory and remind them of stuff. You asked me that in the beginning, I think I'm fine. But if I, pressed you a little bit, you might find out, well, I'm not quite sleeping. I do get tired, fatigued. I am kind of melancholy some days. Or, my hair is getting a little thin. I did put on a few pounds. Or, just a zillion different possibilities. We're going to trigger, what you would like to improve about the way you feel or your appearance. And then you can decide for yourself. Again, people opt into this. You don't have to go see an FDN practitioner. You just want to. Now, and it doesn't really matter even if you have some medical conditions, we'll still talk to you and see where it can go. Now, and then the next thing right after that is that we'll coach you up. It's not just run the labs, here's your program, have fun, good luck. We know that doesn't work. So after all these years, I've come up with the coaching program, the step-by-step things you need to do. Our health coaches will make appointments with you and keep those appointments. It's not us that breaks the appointments, I can tell you that, because we're professionals. And we really want you to adopt this self-care program. We want you to get results. And we're going to help motivate you, check progress, and check conformity. Just see how well you're doing it. And answer all of your questions. And guide the correction. Now, when you said, is this individualized for me? Of course it is. But everyone is so different still that we can't really know exactly what's going to happen when you do or take a certain thing, like certain supplements or whatever it might be. So we're going to have to get honest feedback from you.
We're going to flight back.
I know you're trying to mute out there. That's good. So thank you for that. And what we're going to do in this course correction procedure is expect from you and give you honest feedback. So on the slide it says give honest feedback, and we will. But we're going to expect it from you too. That way we hold each other accountable we want to deliver the product. The product is you get healthier. We want to deliver the product. We want you out there talking about FDN and how amazing and what a transformational experience it's been. That's our idea. You want to get transformed? We want you to be transformed. We want you to want it more than we want it. We don't want to be begging you, but that's why we're going to, we're going to have you keep those appointments. Now, we're open and transparent. All the cards are face up on the table, and that's been my way since my dad sort of beat it into my head when I was a kid, And yeah, it's just the way to be. And sometimes there's some retesting, And then if there's some needs that appear, we can help you get some outside help. Like, for instance, when we're working over the phone, and most of this is done over the phone and through emails and Skyping and different things, right? So we're your health coaches, and I could be here in San Diego coaching you up, and when you're in New York City or, Seattle, wherever. And so I won't be able to get my hands on you. So for instance, you might want to go see an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, and even physicians sometimes can actually be pretty handy people to have around when the need is there. The problem is, as we've said, is that there's this huge needs gap. We're there to fill the needs and help you actually get healthy, identify what needs to be worked on, and help you work on it. So I have a picture of a sailing ship here, because there's no power boat to health. It's not just, do the labs, here's your program. There is some course correction required. That's why you need the coaching and why it's a huge part of our program. There's going to be currents in the water, so it's your environment and your situation pushing you off course. We're going to help you with that. We've been around a little bit, and same thing with the sails. If it's not the currents in the water, it's that there's no wind in the sails, or there's too much wind, or you don't. I sailed as a youngster, and we say you got to trim the sails. Sometimes you actually have to tack or come about, or the nautical term. So it's really important you get the coaching. And that's what makes it all work. So step 1, you run the lab. Step 2, you get an interpretation and recommendations for your customized Dress for Health Success program. And step 3 is the health coaching time period, which is usually at least 90 days. And often it's more. But you'll get support from our staff. You're going to talk to a health coach, and then you're going to work with our customer service department, who's going to make sure that you collect and actually send in your labs, complete the self-assessments and surveys, and then you meet with that person. You get the interpretations. All the detective work is done. I will personally review specific labs and work with tough cases. My support team and my certified health coaches are top-notch people, but I am always here to sort of godfather the whole thing. And there's ongoing support and really a whole team, as we say here on the slide. Now, do we take anybody, Katie? Do you think we would just do this for anybody?
I hope. It seems like a good amount of work, so probably not.
Yeah.
You're going to have good clients.
That's right. We're looking for people who are ready to make changes. They're kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired, or they have to at least have a health problem, something about the way they feel or their appearance that they don't like, that they really want to get rid of. It wouldn't really suit either one of us if you tell me you have a health problem, but it doesn't really bother you. You're fine living with it. Well, you need to be at that point where you're not fine living with it anymore. And when you're there, then we feel you should recognize the need to invest in your health in order to improve. So yeah, you're going to have to invest some time and some resources into the program. We need you to, that's how it works.
So if I'm one of those people, like I've got a health problem, I am ready to stop dealing with the symptoms and just get rid of this. Yeah. And I've been spending money on my symptoms, so I'm ready to spend money on a solution that'll actually get to the root cause. What do I do?
Well, we're going to tell you what to do in just a sec, but you made me think of a common thing is people, it could be expensive and things like that. People are not realizing how much it costs you to be sick in terms of lost enjoyment of life and production at your job and raising your kids and all the things that give us joy, all the things that are important in life, all the things to have some purpose about, and you lose a ton of life when you don't. So it's costing you already. And so we're just going to direct that into the right modalities, if you will. And all you need to do, if you're at that point, is go to FDNselfcare.com. That's FDN for Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, selfcare.com. And you can scroll down to the bottom of the page if you're really excited. You can read what's there. Just scroll down to the bottom. and fill out the little form, and you will be contacted by a health coach. And then your health coach is going to give you a free consultation. And I've told my staff to make sure that, if you get to the point where we decide we're going to accept you, it's really we're interviewing each other. So the third bullet there is kind of skipping a little too fast for my liking, but you will talk to your health coach, and they will discuss with you just how serious you are about getting rid of your health problem. Remember, you have a health problem, something about the way you feel or look that you don't like, and you want to do something about it. And then we will work with you at some amazing introductory rates. Remember, I've been doing this 15 years, but about 6 years ago I stopped taking on clients to teach, and I've been teaching the family of practitioners. Well, last year I decided that I'm going to put together the crack staff and have my own in-house self-care program and really do this right. And so that's what this is. We're just sort of busting it out, and this is an introductory period where you can get our best rates. And so that's pretty much it, except for that it is guaranteed. If after session 1 with your health coach you don't think it's everything I laid it out to be, and you don't think you're going to be able to improve your health, and that it's not worth a lot more than what I'm charging you for it, then let us know. And we do give full refunds minus any lab fees you've paid. So I'm going to go back here and see if you have any final questions.
No, I'm excited. I just go to that FDNselfcare.com is what you said?
Yeah, you go there and you just, everyone knows how to use the internet these days. There's probably some contact phone numbers and things, but just fill out the form and we'll call you. We'll hook up. We'll have a line of communication into each other. That's what this takes, is a little bit of reaching out to each other. And so that communication circle is going to be established when you make the first step. And that's all you got to do.
That's great. Reed, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge and wisdom with us today and for telling us about the FDN self-care program. I think it sounds amazing, and I personally can't wait to sign up to have my conversation with a health coach. And you guys, for those of you out there who are just as excited as I am, why don't you go over to fdnselfcare.com now and fill out the form and get your free session with a health coach set up.
Thank you a million for having me on, and you have a great day. And God bless everybody. We're here to help you. And you know what to do. So
see you guys at FDN.
Bye.